All right, we'll jump into this slide. Newbie, I got to start with you. You dirty
He's implying
flipper.
something.
dirty flipper. Why is spec a dirty word? And why are you not a real collector if you are a speculator?
I don't know either. I mean, I think the beauty of comics is you can be in it for so many reasons, right? Whether it be character, whether it be art, whether it be a run collector, a silver, a single issue, variants, right? Whatever the case may be, it's like if I said to Ryan, what's your favorite color? And he said yellow. And I was like, okay, well, mine's blue and blue's better. Why is blue better than yellow? Right? Like, it's just one of those conversations that it's like, why? I always talk about this when, people say this is like, if I go to Walmart and I see that they have iPhones for $100 and it says, limit 5, I'm going to get 5. But at the same time, I'm going to call my dad and I'm going to call my mom and I'm going to call my buddies and say, hey, come on over. I don't need 5 phones, but I'm going to make money in order to help me succeed. And same with comics, right? I mean, if you can find comics to help, pay for the hobby itself, why wouldn't you, right? It's just investing in it. I have a book and then I sell it, someone gets that book, but then I get money to actually put it towards a bigger book. Like, it's just a circle. And I don't see the problem with it. I see the problem when if I was the only one that had the books and I'm selling them at like $1,000, yeah, maybe, but
yeah,
I don't do that. And spec, I mean, it's similar to, I'm a big sports guy. At the end of sports seasons, man, I really wish that this player goes to my team. Oh, I think this player is going to go to that team. If that player doesn't go to that team, I mean, are we really like freaking out or, posting all these hate videos and, like, it's supposed
Some
to be
people
fun.
do.
Yeah, no, and 100%. And I just don't give those people my attention, but like spec is supposed to be fun. You know what I mean? And, I don't know. It's fun.
Rob, let me bring you in this one. Is there that sentiment in the card market? Is there like a subset of people who kind of feel like, oh, like these new sports card collectors aren't purists?
Oh, for sure. I don't know that it's extreme as what I see on the comic book side of things, but there's definitely a collector investor tug of war on the sports card side of things. I do think it's more extreme on the comic book side. And it just always, I find it amusing that, like, whether it's sports cards, comics, whatever, the fact that people take offense that you're leveraging your knowledge about whatever it is to make money on that thing, to then use that money to buy the things that you really want. I don't understand why people get mad at that. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that? Like, most people are funding the hobby. We say it all the time in sports cards, and you guys do too in comic books, fund the hobby with the hobby.
Yeah.
Not everyone has a bunch of expendable income coming in from their day job. We all have bills that we have to pay. But if I could side hustle my way into a Hulk 181, you're damn right I'm going to do it. Like, why wouldn't I do that? It just doesn't make sense to me. The collector versus investor, flipper versus, whatever, speculator versus this. The amount of hate people get because all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, you sold a comic book. You're the most evilest person in the world. You should never do this, is baffling. It's absolutely baffling to me, whether it's on the sports card side or the comic book side.
And it's crazy too, because like there's a lot of people who sell. There's a local guy to me. Sometimes we go, hunting together. Sometimes we go. And I remember, and this was funny. I was going to say it earlier when we were talking about it, but like when Loki show happened, episode, I can't remember how many episodes there were, but like just before they announced Kang or Immortus or whoever you want to say, we found like 2 long boxes of like Avengers 269, 267, the Alex Ross cover, and we picked them up for $1. And they were going for like 50. We put them up, for like 35, but then those books got me to a book that I wanted. And the thing that people don't realize too is like, if they don't do it, like somebody else will. Like somebody else will come in and be like, oh shoot, I can make money. Like it's just that mentality. It's just that they don't have a YouTube channel. They don't have social media, because people sell all the time. Like it's the fact that it's just like, it's just Newbie and Pressable Defects doing spec. I mean, that's just crazy. Like there's so many more people, right? So
what about you, Ryan? How do you sleep at night knowing that you buy
a pile of money?
That you buy the dips and you sell the highs?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just like the way I look at it is it's it's something that I enjoy, and it's something that I can also use as another form of income. You know, I mean, it's like I used to do like more stock stuff. I don't really enjoy that, but comics it's fun. It's really fun opening those boxes, seeing those cool books. You know, even if I only have them for a little bit, like having certain books, just, you know, being able to hold them, you know, some really old keys and that kind of thing. It's a lot more fun than buying and selling stocks. You know, but like, but the other thing is, it's really like, I mean, you can see like the stuff behind me. You do keep things as well.
I was gonna say that.
It's
right?
not like,
you know,
it's not like I'm just like selling everything.
Yeah.
But one of the ways I look at it, the reason I think it's always so surprising that people give so much hate out there for it's like for individuals that sell books. It's like, do you go into your LCS and yell at the owner for charging more for, like, they bought a collection for, like, you know, it's like 10 cents a book and they're selling them for however much. Are you yelling at the owner for doing that? No. You know, it's like, so, and I've said that to someone on eBay when they messaged me, and I was like, if you're not talking to your LCS owner like this, you probably shouldn't be talking to me like this. So you know,
to me, that's one of the hilarious things is a lot of times the people that are very, you know, on the collector side of things are the first ones to say support your local LCS.
Yeah.
Out of one side of their mouth, and on the other side of their mouth, they're going, look at the evil flipper over here. But you realize your local LCS is the OG original flipper, right?
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah,
you all understand that, right? And the people that are usually complaining the most are the ones that are on the opposite side going, oh, no. How dare you buy bags and boards on Amazon? You need to buy them from your LCS. Like,
I just don't like the real collector thing. That's the one thing that bugs me.
Gatekeeping.
Yeah, it's like,
it's
you know, like, because I spec does not mean I'm not a real collector. Like, I collect Fantastic Four, I collect Avengers, you know, I collect Iron Man. Those are my thing. Like, obviously, like Ryan said, if you look behind, you know, and all of us have comics or the things that we like clearly I'm a collector, right? But I just hate when, oh, you spec, so you're not a real collector. It's like, oh, okay.
But I think into what Rob was saying is like, you know, I mean, I think that having the hobby pay for itself, and it's just like, it gives people an opportunity to work their way up to a book. I mean, that's the most like sort of charitable version of what maybe a speculator would be. And I can understand why maybe there's people that are like upset about that part of the hobby. But like also too, like there's a lot of people who just started collecting, and like I get a lot of people where it's like, oh man, like, oh, you should have already invested in Hulk 181 like 10 years ago. And it's like, well, dude, like, what if this person just started collecting last year? Like, you know, they have to start somewhere. And if they want this opportunity to work their way through collecting, I don't see what the problem with that is.
Well, because I'm in a similar situation to Rob. Like, he had mentioned he only got back into cards like in like 2018, and comics more recently. Like, I got back into comics in 2019. You know, it's only been like 3 years or so. I mean, I tend to dive into things pretty deep, but still, like, I couldn't buy, you know, when I see people talking about, you know, how they bought their Amazing Fantasy 15 for $1,000 or something, it's like, I couldn't do that. Like, I didn't, you know, I never had the opportunity to do something like that. So it's like, I pay the prices that they are now.
Yeah, I was pretty happy at 3,600.
Someone mentioned it in the comments. I think a lot of what some of it is, like the true collector stuff or whatever you want to call it, is I do think there's an aspect or a certain section of people that can't keep up with the fast moving nature of the market and don't like the idea that all of a sudden they're priced out of a hobby that they've been invested in for a long time. And I think that does affect people. And I think that is a legitimate concern. There are people that, you know, they don't want to flip, or maybe they don't have time to flip, or they don't have, you know, the ability or whatever it is to use the hobby, to fund the hobby. So before, whatever side money they had to invest in the comic books or whatever was enough to cover it. And then all of a sudden it's not anymore. And in a market like this, and same with sports cards, it was like a light switch. It happened fast.
But
I always use the comparison of, it's like, you know, when people complain that their niche band that they've been following for 5 years all of a sudden gets on the main radio station and they get pissed off about it.
I and this will be my last point, because, you know, I pay my taxes, so I have an opinion. But you know, like Ultra said in the comment, right? That's my saying.
Those are Canadian taxes, though.
You know, there, and sometimes like I hear it from like when on New Comic Book Day, when things come out, and like there's some books. So like, you know, this week it was Thor 20, last week it was Timeless #1 with Miss Minutes on it. And people get mad at you when you post like a picture with like 4 or 5 of them. And I don't get that, like, you know, and that's still like Spec, I guess, but people still hate that. But it's like we have so many outlets, whether it be previews, League of Comics, you know, certain YouTube channels, certain people talking about books. You have this information in front of you. You have it ahead of when it's coming out. You have the same opportunity as everybody to order it. You have pull boxes, and people are always getting mad, being like, well, you know, you took them all and I couldn't. I'm like, dude, I'm in Canada. You're in California. We are not going to the same local shop. It's
Right.
not happening. Right. So, and I think people sometimes get mad because they see somebody, oh, you got 5 copies. I didn't get any. Do you have a pull box? Yeah. Well, did you know this book was coming out? Yeah. What? I don't know what to say after that. It's like, you know what I mean? So sometimes I think people just get mad. You know, unfortunately, there's people that don't like how you do things, and it's in everything. It's in music, it's in fashion, it's in sports. You know, it is what it is. You're not going to get along with everybody's opinion. You have your own, and that's fine. But don't, you know, the problem I have is when, well, you're not really in this because I like it. Clearly, you know, I'm going to be 35 and I've got an Iron Man poster and comic books, right? Like, clearly I am a fan. I love this stuff. So, you know.
See,
Drew, I'll let you get the last word before we move
Okay.
on to the next thing here. Yeah.
I can argue the opposite side of that. I mean, I've worked at an LCS. I'm also from an area where there's not a lot of access to comics. So I almost feel like the people that come in, and there's been a guy locally that's done this for a while around here. He'll come in, whatever the hot new book is, you know, that everybody's talking up that gets released. He'll buy the whole damn stack off the wall. And basically, I don't know if he doesn't have a job, he just takes Wednesdays off or whatever it is, but he's always at every store. And naturally, they're all staggered here. So he's at every store as soon as they open, he immediately buys them all out.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. At that point, I feel like it's incumbent on the LCS to protect their regular customer. You know, so if we've only got 3 copies, 5 copies of something on the wall, I can't let you buy 100%, 80% of this book. And that's just where I feel like it needs to be a symbiotic relationship. You know, the LCS, obviously they've got to make their money, but they've also got to keep their customers happy. So if you come in every single week to pick up your books, right, you know, Wednesday, and everything's gone constantly, you're going to go someplace else. You're going to change your hobbies, and that's not good for the LCS. Now, as far as the dirty flippers, all that, I've rarely seen somebody walk up to my booth when I'm set up at a convention that cusses me out for being there selling comics.
Right.
You know, they're always happy.
You said rarely, though, so has it happened?
If you guys get to know me, I anger people fairly easily somehow.
No.
Apparently, I come from a long line of assholes or something. I don't know. But generally, you know, people are happy to have the opportunity to buy these things, because the way I approach it is, you know, we don't ever really own these things. We just kind of get to take care of them for a little while until we get to send them on to somebody else, because eventually we're all going to be in the dirt and somebody else is going to own all of our shit. That's the way it's going to happen.
That's why you have them buried with
That's that is something that's been
funeral
fun,
pyre,
is like seeing books that I've sold to someone at some point pop up on Instagram on like somebody else that I didn't even sell it to, and I'm like, oh, like once you get to like older books, you recognize your books. You're like, oh, that is that copy.
Exactly. So I live this life. I mean, I started out where I got back into comics in 2005 when I was in college. I started out with 3 short boxes in the closet. Now I can't even tell you how much I've got. And it's literally all been built, you know, one purchase at a time. And it just snowballed. And then it gets to the point where you start buying collections. You just start selling stuff to get more stuff. And it's just an awesome, beautiful thing. So the power of trading things you've found at a good price or that have gone up in price for something else that you want, while at the same time satisfying somebody else, making them happy by giving them something they want. That's what the community was built upon. We've just got angry about it somewhere.
Right.
You know, and I think part of that, and I'll pretend to be the old man comic guy here. There used to be more camaraderie about it. I knew a guy who had literally been buying and selling comics since 1961. He needed to make money. He wanted to make money, but he looked at it as, if I make what I need to make, I also want to make sure that you get a good price on it, because keeping the person interested in the books, interested in the hobby, was more important to him than getting that very last red penny out of the buyer.
Right.
So
Right.
That's,
Well,
I mean, that's
very-
definitely true. I've learned, that's something I picked up. I used to always watch American Pickers all the time.
Same.
And it's something that they've said where it's like, you can't in businesses or hobbies like this, you can't try to get that end of the rainbow. You know, it's
Mhm.
like if you have a target on kind of some type of gain or whatever for a book, if you get that, just let it go and then and move on.
Yeah. Well, very well said. I think we covered that topic very well, and hopefully maybe change some hearts and minds to those who are against flipping.